I'm Jason Draco of Prince Draco Productions. I'm here with Bryce Papenbrook. You might know him as Kirito from Sword Art Online. You might know him from Blue Exorcist and many other things. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, doing great.
So the first question I want to ask you, how did you get into acting in general?
Well, my dad was a voice actor, and one day I was with my dad at work. He was working on Power Rangers. He was the skeleton dude, Rito Revolto.
I remember him.
So I was watching him work, and the director said, "Oh, we need a kid for this scene." And my dad's like, "Oh, he's a kid, throw him in the booth." And they tossed me in, and that's how I got my start.
And you said in your panel that you had a troubling time getting in and out when you were younger because you were underage.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's different laws, child labor laws. So I was so young, I would need my folks to sign off on me working. And I even started working before I could drive. So I would need my mom or my dad to drive me to different jobs and sign all the paperwork for me. And it was great that first session when I didn't need them to sign off on what I was doing and I could just sign the paperwork myself.
So was Hack, the Hack, was that one of your first big animes that you did, or did you do one before that?
I think that was my first lead in an anime. I probably had some small bits in different shows, but I'm pretty sure that was my first lead. I'm trying to remember the timeline of everything, and I can't even recall what was before that. I know some things that were around that time. I worked on Trigun. I was Young Vash in Trigun as a kid. I didn't talk about this earlier. I was on Cowboy Bebop. I had one line on Cowboy Bebop. When they go to, I think they go to Mars. There's a bunch of kids in an orphanage.
Yeah, I remember.
And there's one kid with a pot on his head, and in the script it said Pothead, and that's me. I am Pothead from Cowboy Bebop.
That's the best. So, Sword Art Online, amazing. How did you, when you walked in, in the recording studio for the first time, auditions, how did that all go down?
Well, I had heard about the series before I got to audition for it. I hadn't watched it yet, but I had heard that it was cool, and I knew a little bit about the story and about the characters. So when the audition came up, I think one of the scenes that I had to read for was the Starburst Stream fight.
Yeah.
And, the Scream is just epic and huge.
I think that might be either my favorite or my second favorite scene.
Yeah, it's one of the best battles in the show. And, yeah, I mean, I was crossing my fingers hoping that what I did was a good match. Something just sort of felt right. Like, when I watched the video and I sort of played back my audition because I was able to record from my home studio and MP3 it in. When I sort of played it back and I looked at the character, I was like, something just sort of fits with this voice and this character, and I think it might work out. And I was hopeful, and I'm so happy that it did work out.
I guess you're just happy that they didn't say, "Hey, you're Klein."
I would have played Klein. I like Klein. There's nothing wrong with him.
So I don't remember if I read the interview or I saw it on one of these discs. I saw an interview with the Japanese counterpart. I believe you might have even posted where he mentioned you.
Yeah.
And he said that he loved how you said Link Start.
I saw that.
How did you feel, and what was going on in your head when you saw that?
It's pretty rare that we get any sort of feedback from Japan, because they do it first and then it comes to us, and we are inspired by their work. And to see that that came full circle, and he saw it and he liked it, that was the coolest thing ever. I mean, I really hope that at a convention we can meet up. I would love to have him come to the U.S. and hang out and see, what this is all about. I actually met my Japanese counterpart for Blue Exorcist.
Okay.
I don't want to mess his name up. Nobu.
That's fine.
So I met him at Anime Expo, and it was the first time I had ever met my Japanese counterpart, and it was such a cool experience, being able to talk to him about work that I had just done. We're essentially sharing the same character, and I was inspired by these actors, to do this role. So it's really cool. It's really cool, and I hope I get more opportunities to meet the Japanese crew and Japanese actors and talk to them about their experience recording. I actually met the creator of Sword Art Online in Seattle last year, and that was a cool experience too. He's a really nice guy.
Blue Exorcist starts on Tsunami, correct? You have 2 shows.
I will.
How do you feel about that?
It's amazing. It's amazing. I can only hope that, there are more to follow, and I take over the Tsunami block. You'll be hearing a lot of me,
All Bryce
cool.
all the time.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's gonna be so fun. I love watching shows with people at cons. So, for example, tonight we're going to be watching Sword Art at 2 a.m. and how cool would that be to watch Blue Exorcist and then watch Sword Art? A bunch of me. It'll be awesome.
I was just telling him. I follow everybody on Twitter pretty much to see what they do at cons and stuff like that. And I was like, Bryce is probably the only person I think I've ever seen. I'm sure somebody else has done it before you, but the only person that I personally see that does that at conventions with the fans, watch it at the con with the fans. I think that's one of the coolest things I've seen uniquely done. I think that was a great idea that you did.
I like watching the show, and sometimes I'll live tweet, and I'm like, well, I'm here. I'm gonna watch the show anyways. It's such a cool experience to watch it with people, and the idea came out of the premiere, because we premiered the show at a con, and it was just such a different experience watching it with people. Sort of like when you go to the movies and you feed off other people. Like if you watch a comedy and the person next to you is laughing, like it's contagious, like you'll start laughing too. But if you just watch the show by yourself, it's not the same thing. So we were in a room with about 1,000 people, and they were reacting to the points we wanted them to react to. And it was just an amazing feeling, and I'm like, I want to do this again. There's no reason not to do this if I have the opportunity to. So it's just an amazing experience to watch with people, and it's definitely something I'm going to continue doing. I hope Blue Exorcist gets a good time, so I don't necessarily have to ask people to come and watch with me at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. It would be a real bummer if it's 6.
Yeah.
But I'm sure, Blue Exorcist is an awesome show. I'm sure it's going to get a good time slot.
Now, a couple years ago, I interviewed one of your directors, and I actually mentioned your name in the interview. I don't know if you ever actually watched the interview, but I actually name-dropped you in it.
Which director?
I interviewed Wendy Lee a couple years ago, and I was like, I had just talked to you through an email like a week before I went there, and it's funny because I was like, I just talked to Bryce, and I was like, I don't know how to say his last name, and then she finished my line. She said Papenbrook. I was like, yes, Papenbrook.
I know Wendy Lee very well.
So my question is, you were talking about she directs every single Tales game, so that's kind of what we focused on in the interview. That was my first interview with a director of video games. Mm-hmm. You were talking about how for Tales of Graces you had that book. Tell the fans about that.
Yeah, Tales of Graces, I played Asbel Lant, who has 3,600 lines in the game, and I essentially spent my entire summer with Wendy working on Tales of Graces. So there's a lot of studio time, and if it could get boring if it was with a director that was sort of quiet or boring, but it definitely wasn't. I mean, she kept me entertained the entire time. I was always having fun in the studio. There were some great outtakes. Just an amazing summer. I hope in the future I get to work on another one and spend another summer like that. It would be incredible.
Let's talk about this guy.
All right, let's talk about this guy. I'm now part of Pokemon. I play Red in Pokemon Origins and Charmander. Actually, you told me something before we started, and you said, I always ask this. So think of what you would want someone to ask you, and I already know my question.
My line. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I stole your line. I was gonna ask. I want someone to ask me what Pokemon I would choose between Charmander, Squirtle, and Bulbasaur, and I would take Charmander. I played Red, just the very first one. I didn't get the second, like I didn't continue playing.
Yeah.
So in the very first one, I chose Charmander.
And I believe you said you liked Smash Brothers on Nintendo 64.
Oh yeah. So and Pikachu is my favorite. That's my dude in Smash Brothers.
If we take you down to the game room, will you beat everybody down there?
I'll dominate. Everyone would just be crushed. They'd be like, "Who is this guy? Why is he trolling us with Pikachu right now?"
So is there any projects that you can talk about, or any websites or any tours or anything that you would like to promote to the fans right now, or some stuff to say to your fans right now?
Yeah. Well, one thing I'm working on that I'm really excited about is called Tenkai Nights. It's on Saturday mornings on Cartoon Network.
I have a DVR.
Yes.
I haven't gotten into it yet, I'm not gonna lie.
Okay. Well,
so it's DVR though.
It's well worth watching. The voice cast is incredible. I mean, Johnny Bosch, Yuri Lowenthal, Steve Bloom, Crispin Freeman. I mean, there's more. Todd Haberkorn. It's crazy how good this cast is. And the show is awesome. And the toys are amazing. They're at Target, Walmart, and Toys R Us now. And you literally start with this little block, like a Lego block, and transform it, and it becomes a robot. And then you can put it back, and it's a perfect block. I mean, I'd never seen anything like this, quite as detailed as this. So those are worth checking out.
Now, Danganronpa's coming out, and I didn't think I was ever going to buy a PS Vita, but now I'm going to buy it because you're in that, and as the main character.
And as the lead, another awesome lead. I cannot wait to see that and play that. It's going to be really cool.
It's basically like a mystery thriller, pretty much.
Yeah.
Solve cases.
Yeah, there's these kids, and they're like super kids in their own respective way.
Super duper.
Yeah, and they're stuck inside this school by this evil bear that forces them to murder each other and try to get away with it. So my character is like a detective, and he starts solving these murders. And I almost spoiled something. I'm not going to spoil it. I was going to say something that was a super spoiler. I'm not going to do it. But that was an interesting game to work on, because there was just these recaps and these huge blocks of lines, and it was so interesting because as I was going through it, it was like watching a movie in my head, because I would describe all these little details, and I was just picturing those little details as I was going through it. I can't wait to see it from the game. Like, I can't wait to play the game.
So I guess a good thing to end on is recently they had the New Year's Eve special at SAO, which you watched live, I believe, from Twitter.
I did. 8 a.m. Had to get up, and because that's when New Year's was in Japan.
Yeah.
So 8 a.m. for us, had to get up and could not miss it.
Did you like the material in it?
I did. It was I thought it was a interesting way to do a recap like that, because it goes over everything that happened up to that point, and then had new material, and some other new things were sort of spliced in there. I thought it was really interesting the way that they put that together.
What did you think about the sniper shot then?
Oh man, so excited. I was just like, yes! Cannot wait to see what happens.
Now, online, where can people follow you at?
Find me on Twitter at my name, Bryce Papenbrook. You can find me on Facebook, actor Bryce Papenbrook, and Instagram at Bryce Papenbrook.
Well, thank you very much for the interview, and have a great rest of the convention.
Thank you. Hi, Siri.
Turn this up.
Hey!
Post-production minute.
Siri's turning up. I'm going to put it over there. Bye, Siri.
All right. 5, 4.
I've never done that.
I'm making outtakes and we're putting that in.
Okay, good.
All right.